Rowan, we won't see the squad till tomorrow, so a bit of a roll call if that's all right with you to start with. What's the state of play with James Bentley after his HIA?
Yeah, he passed. He passed that straight after the game. No issues. It was more the sort of whiplash action of the contact, and everyone else has got through the game pretty well to be in the 21.
Has Paul Momirovski got the potential to come back?
Yeah, he's likely to be in the 21. He's done a bit today, and making good signs of progression. So we'll see. We'll see how he is on Thursday before making a final call.
And was that an issue that arose from the match, or was it something that he'd done in training?
No, that came in the Catalans match, and he played at Lee with that niggle, and it sort of just loitered. So we decided to give it some healing time last week, and it's responded. But just whether it's responded well enough, we'll double check.
Sam Lisone's served his ban. Is he back in your thinking for this week?
Yeah, Sam's a big part of what we're doing. He's a key part of our group on and off the field. He's a great character and a good physical specimen that can bring some skill and some footwork and some real collision to our game. So we'll welcome him back.
You'd rather have him on the pitch, of course, but as the 3 weeks off served him well, because I think he had a bit of an interrupted pre-season, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a few little bits and pieces going on in the pre-season that sort of limited his ability to be in full training. So he's had a couple of weeks of some good hard work. So he's looking good and raring to go.
So part 2 on Friday. What would be the big lesson you took away from part 1 against Saints that could serve you well this week?
Well, firstly, I think they're a very good team and have showed some differences in how they've played to previous seasons. I believe. I think they played very well, and they needed to beat us. But I think we can take some belief and some confidence out of how we played and how we attacked the game. We've got a new spine that have played 4 games together, or nearly 5 if you include the one game where Miller didn't play. Where we're playing against a team there that have got a lot of experience, on-field experience and club experience together. So we're growing and evolving and learning, and I think we've showed good signs of playing some good footy in a short period of time. I thought that was a high standard of game last week, and we can take some confidence out of that. But it'll be a different game against some familiar structures and individuals, obviously. But no 2 games are the same, so we're looking to start again and adjust to any tweaks that they make and make a few of our own.
And is that it about tweaks? I mean, when you play a team so quickly after, can you go with the same game plan and just maybe tweak it slightly, or do you have to take them by surprise in some way?
Yeah, I think it's always good to have some differences and something up your sleeve that's a bit different to last time. But mostly your identity as a team's not going to shift in a week. So it's about adjusting to things on the run, and then there may be different personnel that we'll have to wait and see. So we feel like we're building a good template on both sides of the ball to take into each week, and subtly adjusting that depending on who we're playing against from time to time.
And just on the Challenge Cup broadly, Rowan, I just wanted to ask you what your first recollection was of the competition. Obviously, you've got family that have had their own involvements. When was your first sort of realisation of it as being sort of a big comp here? Do you have any sort of knowledge of it before you came over?
Yeah, I remember going to games when Dad coached at Hull in the late 80s. So I've always been a follower of the Challenge Cup, and I understand the prestige and the history and the roller coaster that it is playing sudden death. So I experienced it there. I went to Wembley when Dad was at the Bulls in 96. So that was a phenomenal experience and a high scoring, exciting game there. Didn't get the result, but just that whole experience of being at Wembley and that journey to get there. So I've been around it.
That was the Robbie Paul hat-trick game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Where were you though? Did you find yourself in the dressing room at all?
no, not in the dressing room. I've been in, I've been in plenty of dressing rooms over the years, but I wasn't there that day. I travelled down with the families and sat with my immediate family. But yeah, I enjoyed that roller coaster. Was a tough one, tough one to take, being on the losing side of it. But yeah, I think you love being there in those big occasions, whether you win or lose. It's a special time.
You'd have been about 14, 15 at that time, wouldn't you? I think wasn't long after that that you decided to be a professional coach. Did that have anything to do with it going to Wembley?
I don't know. That's a good question. I've never thought about that, but probably even further back. I was a ball boy when St George played in the grand final against the Broncos in '93. So I was up very close to the action that year and seeing things done from a coaching perspective from pretty much day one growing up. I've always had an interest in coaching, I guess. So it may have been inevitable. It's sort of in the family.
And just lastly for me, obviously the competition has moved around within the calendar, within the season. Do you feel like it's in its rightful place, or could there be some tweaks to the comp as it stands? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of who makes the decisions and when, but it feels like it's right, being earlier in the year rather than later. And I probably feel like we should have come in a round or two ago as well. But again, I don't know the ins and outs of all those conversations, and I know there's already a lot of games in the season, but we understand how exciting and how important the Challenge Cup is as well to our club and to the game itself.
It's an interesting conundrum because I think supporters by and large would agree that they'd like to see Super League teams come in to the competition earlier. It means more if you have to win more than maybe 3 games to get to a final. But there is obviously the challenge of games and too many games, and we talk about loads and everything now. I don't know if you've been able to give it too much thought, but do you think it would mean a little bit more if the road to Wembley and the road to success was just a little bit longer?
As I said, I think it'd be exciting to see more out of the ordinary matchups earlier in the competition. But yeah, I haven't given it a thought. It'll mean an awful lot to get a win this weekend against St Helens and keep ourselves chasing that Wembley dream.
You've coached at championship level with Bradford. Do you think there is just that little bit more magic of the cup if you get some of those more? I mean, we've got a few this time in the last 16, haven't we? But if you had maybe a few more random and weird and opportunities for those lower end clubs to take on the big boys, do you think that would benefit the concept as a whole?
I think they're exciting, those opportunities, and they can help maybe grow the game or reward some of the clubs that have to, work hard for a penny. To have a big club come to their town or their home ground, I think can be an exciting one. But yeah, it is what it is. We're super excited to be having St Helens come to AMT Headingley again, and if any last week's anything to go by, will be another great occasion.
And just lastly from me, I appreciate it's the cup and you want to win every week, but given just how good a game it was last week and just how well you played, just came up a little bit short. How much would it mean to get a win over St Helens, who are such a good team, and to do it, having to play so well? How important would that be for progression and everything you're doing on this journey if you can knock off a win like that at this stage, so early into the journey that you've spoken about with this group?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of facets to that. Obviously, any win keeps us in the competition, which is number one. In the end, we don't really care how it comes. We want to find a way to win. And this will be a different game. It won't be a replay of last week, that's for sure. And bigger picture wise, it's good to beat big teams. We've had a few hard fought games so far with top quality opposition as well, where we've been able to get some victories. So, but beating St Helens, we've even last year we played 3 really hard, tough games against St Helens that could have gone either way. They were all one score in it. And the weekend, while it was, 10-point margin, it was an extremely close game that could have gone either way. So there's a lot of good matchups there. We play well against each other, and they're generally good games. So it's an exciting opportunity to go again. We know we're going to have to be good to win. You don't beat St Helens otherwise.
Just on Paul Momirovski's injury, what exactly was it? I think we were just told he'd got a minor injury. Can you tell us what he's actually been struggling with?
A shoulder niggle.
Yeah. And he's you're hopeful at this stage that he'll be back this week.
Yep.
Will you plan any other changes this week? Obviously, you've got a couple of players back in contention. Do you when you play them the same team, 2 weeks in a row, do you look to do things a little bit differently the second time?
Oh, we're looking to build cohesion and have our best 17 for the week. Who we think is the best 17 for the week available. That's the team we'll go with. We'll check 1 or 2 guys. It was a good hard game on the weekend. There's a few with bumps and bruises, but we've come through pretty well. So we won't be making changes for the sake of it.
It's nice to have. There's a lot made of obviously the prop situation earlier in the year. It's nice to have virtually everybody available at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah, that was you guys making whatever you want of that situation. We believe in the guys that we've got, and we're looking forward to having Sam back in the mix. And it's middle unit by a committee. Not everyone's going to play every week, but that's what you need over the course of the season. You need 6, 8, 10 front rows sometimes to get a job done. So we'll welcome Sam back, and it's competition for places and for minutes.
Do you think you mentioned that? Obviously, the 10-point gap last week. I think that's the biggest margin in the last couple of seasons against Saints. They've tended to be very close. Do you think Rhinos have now closed the gap on St Helens? Obviously, they've been the benchmark for the past 3 or 4 seasons.
Well, that was just how we played last week. Last year, we played some really close games as well, in and amongst some other games. So that's how we played last week. I think our overall game, the majority of people would see there's a growing, evolving team there that's better in lots of ways than previous. But in the end, it's about getting results as well. So we need to keep working on the process and keep trying to chalk up enough positive results to put us in a good position. But this weekend it's only about 1 result. And staying in the Challenge Cup and keeping that dream alive.